history, heritage, and food. Visit TennesseeArts.com for more information and upcoming events, or stop in the Unicoi Information and Visitor Center, 106 Unicoi Village Place in Unicoi, Tennessee.
Here's an update from 1420 NBC Sports Radio Tri-Cities. The Tennessee men's basketball team now 8-2 after surviving Furman yesterday, 66-61, the final 12 minutes of the game, featuring 8 lead changes and 5 ties. But when all is said and done, Tennessee does get the win. Up next, they'll face Wake Forest on Saturday. That's the final non-conference game before they open up SEC play December 30th. Tennessee women's basketball, huge game tonight as they play at Stanford. Stanford, a top 25 team. First road game against a top 25 team this year for the Lady Vols, who go into tonight's game with an 11-0 record. The ETSU men's basketball team continuing to practice. They are in action on Friday when they will play host to Georgia Southern. With a sports flash on 1420 NBC Sports Radio Tri-Cities, I'm Matt Pauley.
See, I like that heavy metal music here. Facebook Live, you might not be able to see it or hear it, but nevertheless here. We're on Tri-City Sports. Now, I'm Marky Billson. Phone number 423-743-6124. I've got my notes, which turns out to be the Johnson City Press, actually. That's that might cover up some calls that were coming in, so we'll just like that. And then we'll give you the recruits that Tennessee got. Although I want to know if Tennessee fans of other schools, I want to see if any of the Golden Bears fans in California, when Stroud, the quarterback, flipped from the Golden Bears to the Vols, they start tweeting profanities to him. That's a quarterback, I just cannot get over the way that Cade Mays was handled. And even an assistant coach whining about it, you're either with us or you're against us here, please, this is a teenager. This is one of it. Your recruiting level went from down here to up here, and you're worried about Cade Mays? And, what birthright does any player have to sign with your school? College apologist is the worst, and this is a product of it. But, by the way, the other thing about that Tennessee Furman game, I do think that who you were pulling for in that game, that does kind of, do you relate more with the Tri-Cities? Do you relate more with the state of Tennessee? I do kind of think that that's a product right there, because I got to tell you, Southern Conference guy, East Tennessee State and all that, mighty Tennessee, the SEC school, getting all it can with Furman. And yeah, I think that the Furman Paladin fans should be critical, just like I think the ETSU fans could be critical of ETSU for losing to Xavier after having a 22-point lead. I think it's, down to the wire, and Furman with Sibley doesn't pull it out. Yeah, there's room for criticism there. Sure, absolutely. Got a chance to win, you don't do it, there's room for criticism. But boy, what would the SoCon's RPI, it was 19. What would it have been if they had been able to beat Tennessee and Xavier this week? That would have been something right there. Anyway, Tri-City Sports, I was telling you, the big news here nationwide with the Trump tax bill and all this. Now, it is going to affect college athletics, and I'm going to tell you how here. Like other nonprofit organizations, colleges will be responsible for paying a 21% excise tax on annual compensation above $1 million that goes to any of the organization's 5 most highly compensated employees. The tax is set to take effect on compensation earned beginning next year. It will also apply to certain types, what the legislation calls parachute payments or separation payments, like a buyout. Now, at a lot of FBS schools, coaches and/or the athletic director are among the institution's 5 highest paid employees and are making more than $1 million. Yeah, certainly. That's the case in Tennessee, right? 10 college football coaches made $5 million or more in 2017. Jeremy Pruitt will make 3.8 base, plus bonuses, I'm sure, and whatever he gets for endorsements or what have you. At the 21% tax rate, their schools would be on the hook for at least $1 million in taxes for each of those salaries. Interesting. Now, if you find it hard to get worked up on that, consider the following. Athletic departments rely on fundraising, you know this, and other outside revenue, ticket sales, TV money, balances the budgets. Tennessee made $1 million this year. Second most profitable football program in the country. Actually, I think it was 97 mil or something. Or what? 100 million, what they made. Now then, if this would indicate, however, we would be looking at future stories about athletic departments cutting other sports, especially ones without large donor and alumni bases. Got to tell you, so in other words, this may not hurt the Tennessee football program, but the idea that it'll trickle down. I would say this. I mean, if you're making $1 million or $100 million, paying $1 million on a coach's salary, I don't see where that's really going to hurt you. I mean, no Tennessee fan is lamenting that right now Butch Jones is being paid an $8 million buyout. And yeah, that would be right now under this tax bill almost $2 million. I guess $1.6 million in taxes that Tennessee would have to pay out. All right. Out of a $100 million budget, though, I don't think that the track team is really in any problem right now. I really don't. And that's the thing. There's more money now coming into college athletics than any before. And I know that the thought here is that, you've got to worry about what's going to happen to, the rifle team and all that. Rifle team generally doesn't have a lot of money that it loses. You want to know what the biggest money loser is in college athletics? It's actually women's basketball. Because due to Title IX, the expenses that one pays for the men's basketball team must also be spent for the women. So, for instance, if you are a college basketball power, and one of the things that you do to get the best players is you, on road games, put your team up in the best hotels in the opposing city, at the Hiltons, the 5 stars, the Four Seasons, those places, Ritz-Carlton, then you've also got to do that with the women's team. And the women's team will draw a fraction in most places of what the men's team does. And so I realize women's coaches are generally not paid on the same caliber that the men's coaches are. That is something to be stated. But as far as money losers, if you look at the budget, women's basketball is one of the biggest money losers out there. So you might see some cutbacks there. I wonder where it would come from. Would it be with scholarships and such? Would it be that teams like at Tennessee, which obviously is always emphasized, and the scholarships, full exposure, full funding of the women's basketball program, and they've really outpriced former powers like Old Dominion or Louisiana Tech out of the women's college basketball market. Them and Connecticut, Gino Auriemma with his 1,000th victory here last night. But I know that's the concern. Maybe it is legitimate. All I know is I'm just glad football's back at ETSU. It just seems now, and this would be a major statement of that. It used to be under the previous regime that the non-fan sports were heavily promoted there and given the benefit, the new stadiums and facilities over basketball and certainly football. No more. ETSU is now getting it right. What games you'll watch on TV coming up next?
For holiday gift giving, holiday parties, celebrations, let Happy Hour Tri-City Liquor be your one-stop destination. Get your holiday spirits less expensive at Happy Hour Tri-City Liquor.